You know what though? I think the craziest thing so far is that Oda was really pulling our legs the entire time. Like right now, even in the latest chapter, the Straw Hats have been so cocky. They've been like, "Man, we did so much once we went on the offensive, even though there was only three of them." Like, and where's the great one? And Luffy does this damage to Emu. He can't beat Dami reverse. All this crazy stuff. But then now Emu's coming to Elbath, so it's basically over now. We're gonna get the whole, like, everyone was like, "Oh, the raid's gonna fail, the raid's gonna fail," and Kaido's gonna like come back, and then we're gonna have to do this again. That's what we're getting right now in Elbath, man. Because once Emu shows his actual face, and we might get a few of the stronger God Knights showing up. Like Shamrock is not gonna leave Emu. You know what I mean? Or Garling, one of the stronger God Knights is gonna come with him as an escort. He's not gonna go on his own, like, you know what I mean? Or she. At this stage, I would kind of prefer Emu to be a she. I just think it'd be way more interesting. I don't know why, but I just personally think, because the idea is like the love being the reason that Emu's doing all this annoys me. Like, you know, the like a boy who got rejected who's like still grieving. You know, like that whole thing with Obito. I don't want it to be the case, so I feel like if it is done with that plot line, I feel like it'd be better done with a woman rather than like a man. I hope that plot line isn't done at all. But like, I feel like if Emu was a woman originally a woman, it's probably a creature at this stage. 800 years, they probably morphed out of the human form. You know what I mean? I think it would be better because I feel like it wouldn't feel like a little boy throwing a tantrum. You know, where if they were to pull that storyline, I think. Whereas with if they were to have a Emu originally be a woman, I feel like it would feel more refined. Oddly, maybe it's my own bias. I don't know why, but it's just my opinion on this particular matter. But regardless, I do think this is set up. This entire chapter felt like setup. We got some cool moments. We got a mention of, oh, as expected. So that's going to be interesting. I feel like everyone's jumping to it's the devil fruits because everyone with devil fruits wasn't affected. And if we think about it, everyone who's been Dami Reversied so far hasn't been affected. So like that's very clear. Like hasn't had devil fruits, you know. But at the same time, right? Could this be an interesting way to pay off the trade? You know, the sea rejects you, or like the what do you call it? When you eat a devil fruit, the mother of the sea rejects you, or the sea itself rejects you. What if Emu's power is related to the sea? You know, and that's why devil fruits cause so much trouble for Emu. Because if Emu has problems outside, if Emu is not a devil fruit user and has some other power, right, it would be perfectly understandable if it's to the stage where devil fruits were made, let's say, to combat Emu directly. Imagine if that's going to be the retcon of the century. If devil fruits were made by humanity to symbolize their dreams to combat Emu directly. That's why we have things like the Nika fruit, the Nihilog fruit, all these different bizarre powers, because they symbolize dreams, and Emu is the antithesis of dreams. And that's why this Blackbeard agenda I'm going to pull again, that's why Blackbeard's going to be the final villain of the story, because when you take down the villain who antithesis the idea of dreaming and freedom, what's the next thing? It's a pirate battle between the two biggest dreamers in the entire story. This is going to be incredible. Oda's building up to something amazing, and I do think now, I'm more certain now than ever, we are going to get a proper showing from Emu this arc. Because I didn't think so, because I didn't think he was going to show up. But now that Emu is showing up, it is going to hit the fan. We are going to get absolutely walloped, I think. I think Luffy and everyone is going to get a rude awakening, because we're getting to the stage in the story where, like, you know, even Frankie brought up, man, we're just too strong for these guys, man. We're just that strong, man. We're just super strong. You know, I can't believe I can't believe I did that. I did that really badly as well. We're just super strong, man. You know, I can't do that at all. I'm terrible at these poses, man. I gotta get better for these cosplays, man. But you know, it's a whole thing where they've been pointing this out. Zoro's been holding his own against the Dami Reversing individual giants, and obviously Luffy and Loki have been holding their own against Emu. But it's important to notice now, I think it's a whole different ball game now with the actual Emu coming to the island. And I do think we're going to get a load of things happening. We're going to get a load of people showing up, and we're going to get a lot of interactions. As I've said before, I feel like this is the start with Jarl's speech in the previous chapters, I think this was the start of the Great War that everyone's been talking about, that Whitebeard was talking about, that's been built up from the halfway point of the series. I think this is where it's coming. I think we won't get to experience the whole thing because I feel like the Straw Hats will get separated from the war at some stage, but it's starting. You know, we're going to get these individuals showing up. We're going to get, like, we have Rayleigh and Hancock that are still looking for Luffy. We have Shanks that has to show up at some stage. You know, the Holy Knights made their move, so Dragon has to make his move. Blackbeard has to make his move. And I know I've been on the train of, one of them is attacking the Holy Land. But if Mu is willing to leave the Holy Land, and if we look back at the panel that they shown in this chapter, there was no look of fire or anything. Like, I swear they told Shamrock that the Holy Land was up in flames. Actually, no, what's that thing on the right hand side? It is like rubble. But is that not just from the Kuma stuff? Like, that's the thing as well. Kuma did major damage to the Holy Land in the last few arcs. So I'm wondering how this is going to be approached. Like, I still think there is a chance that it's all like, it's either Blackbeard, it's probably Blackbeard, or it's probably, you know, the Revolutionary Army. I know a lot of people think Blackbeard might protect Emu to get his dream of being the king of a country. But the thing is, I think that's way too convoluted. I think he'd just take out Emu, you know, wait for his time to strike, help the revolutionaries, kind of fund that, and then, like, take power at the end. I think that's the whole way it's going to go. I still think the person to take out Emu at the end is going to be Blackbeard. He's going to do a Black Zetsu. You know what I've been thinking, though, over the years, and I've been thinking of more and more? What if Oda just really liked the concept that Kishimoto did, and he's like, I'm going to make this way better, and he just does that. He's like, I'm going to redeem you, pal. Because they're all best buds. They're like best friends, you know, and Oda really trusts Kishimoto, and I feel like he really likes his story. So if he's just repurposing it, making it into a more interesting way to do it, kind of building it up, fixing the flaws, it'd be a very interesting turn of events. I mean, we've already seen that with people being like, you know, Davy Jones and Joey Boy and Hagoromo and what was it? Indra and Ashura and stuff. I'm very excited to see where it goes. The Chopper thing, though, is weird. I don't know how to feel. Like, the Forest God seems to be what most people think. I made a short about it there recently, and people were like, he's the Forest God. And it was interesting. I don't know who it was who made the video, but a load of people mentioned that they didn't mention that he was a human fruit in the live action, which is interesting. That's quite curious. I'm interested to see where that goes. And I do like Chopper's getting some more focus, because I still, no matter what, like, I love Wano. Wano is probably my favorite arc. And I still cannot get over the fact that we did not have Chopper address the Smile Fruits at all. Like, that to me is Oda's biggest writing flaw in the entire series. Because his entire goal is fixing all the illnesses. You know what I mean? And my whole thing is, like, you didn't have to get him to figure it out. If he had a storyline in Wano where, like, let's say Act 1 and Act 2, he was really frustrated, he was really getting angry because he just couldn't fix this issue and he felt inadequate as a doctor, right? And then gradually he was getting better, he was figuring ways, but he couldn't figure it out. He couldn't get it. And then he was feeling inadequate. And then when we went to the raid of Onigashima, he was not as motivated and he was kind of feeling like he wasn't good enough as a doctor. And then when the plague came along, we had this doubt set into him over the fact that he wasn't able to cure the Smile Fruits. And then him interacting with Marco, who's a skilled doctor, appreciating his skills and understanding and helping him improve in his medical knowledge. And then he was able to, you know, come up with the cure for the Queen's virus. And then he leaves Wano, promising the people at Ebisu Town that he will find a cure one day. And then he gains knowledge by going to Vegapunk, which we don't even have to see on screen. We just have to see him mention, right? And then he's gradually gaining knowledge. We see him gaining knowledge in the start of Elbath. Like, this is something that could have been fixed so easily with these. This could have been like 2 scenes. One scene in Act 1 where he's like discovers about the illness, or in Act 2, and then one scene where he's like struggling to fix it and he's having a bit of a breakdown. And then it follows on to Onigashima, and then he's reassured by Marco and comes up with the cure for the ice-only powers. And then he, at the end of the arc, he just swears to the people of Ebisu Town he will find a cure one day. Or even just a killer. Reiterated the killer and then set up that, and that could tie into Elbath and what happens with Kid. Like, it's That's it's I know it's like ages ago, but like it's just something that really annoys me and has really stuck with me for ages. It's the one major issue I have with the story is that because Wano, as I said, is my favorite arc, so I'm like really stuck with it. I really don't know how to feel, and I like having Chopper show up again, but I really hope that eventually comes to pass. We eventually get something for Chopper to re- basically redeem that writing flaw. Like it's one big huge thing I think about all the time. Always thinking about it, man. It's always eating away at me. And it annoys me about Chopper so much. My little guy, man. But hopefully we get something really good with Chopper. It feels like every Straw Hat's getting something to do in Elbath. Was I a little disappointed that Brook and Usopp were immediately put off to the side? Yes, but I do think it's interesting how Luffy's out of power again. And the whole thing about them being super strong, it would be very interesting if they have to fight in place of Luffy for a while in order to against Emu. This would be very interesting. And a few of them don't have devil fruits. Imagine they get dummy reversing. I know. I actually saw this. One of the guys in the comment section was talking about a dummy reversing Usopp, and that would be crazy. That would actually be a very interesting way to introduce the red hair pirates. Have a dummy reversing Usopp attack Yasop and have it basically be them working through their issues that way, and having Yasop tackle with the fact he was a bad father, and then also on the side be like, "Where's Uta, Shanks? What are you doing, you useless bum, man? Oh my god, man!" The more we get into the series, the worse Phil Red gets because Shanks is supposed to be this uber strong, incredible fucking pirate, and he's not able to save his own daughter. Not even years down the line. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, what a bum. What a bum. I love him though, but what a bum. Like the deadbeat pirates. But there is just so much. And I'm interested to see if Shamrock comes back. Like, we'll probably see if there's an actual issue on Mary Joa by the fact if Shamrock doesn't show back up. I feel like he was just set up for later on in the story, but I would really like him to show back up to show how completely outclassed the Straw Hats are, and they're getting a bit too cocky. Bring them down to earth a little bit. Um, I'm very excited though. I love them being cocky. I love them being arrogant, thinking they're the shit. It's great to see that from a Yonko crew. It's fantastic. It really feels like the end game. Also, the L stuff was very weird. I don't really have anything to say about that. It's probably some like size thing. They're probably just really small. Everything's probably just really small all of a sudden. I don't know how they're gonna play up to that. That particularly, I have no clue. I just hope it eventually involves a Robin fight. I've been talking about this for basically all week. Every single video I brought this up. Waiting 10 years for a Robin fight was insane, and I just need another one, man. We need another one. You know what I mean? Bring Robin against Emu, man. Damani Fleur, kick his ass. So good. I actually was thinking the other day, it would be a really cool cosplay for One Piece. A gender bent Robin. Because, like, post time skip Robin, if you gender bent, it would be like a biker with a cool purple leather jacket on, essentially. So that would be really cool. I'm thinking of doing that at some stage. I'm just like spitballing it. But yeah, this was mental. And I think the upcoming arcs with Emu and the upcoming arc and how it's gonna go, I think it's gonna really mess us up because Oda has not done anything I've predicted in the longest time. All my predictions have gone to absolute shite. I sound like a fan fiction man by the time the new chapters come out because he just throws us for a loop every single time. He did mention a new era, which was interesting, a more modern era with Emu, but I have no idea if that was like a mention of the previous Nihog or if that was specifically when Loki was on the seas. I'm like, we don't really get mentions of the modern eras. What was it? It was the what era? Somewhere. He's talking to Loki, and he's bringing up the fact that like there was mentions of this big, huge creature back in the day. Um, which one was it? It was somewhere here. That was but a few years ago when the giant ship was gleamed at sea. we helmed by a captain of truly immense stature. The graft was never identified, for its skull deep within the fog-shrouded regions. Yet it only ever went after government vessels, right? And then they were talking. Yeah, this is where he talks about Loki. And when did he mention the era? I swear he mentioned one of the, yeah, during the self sham era, the period, a number of credible rumors started to emerge, and it all makes sense now, right? So that was the first mention of a period, I think, in a long time outside of ancient periods in One Piece. So for you history folk, there you go. We might get different translations in the coming days, but it's exciting, man. We're really getting into the end game now if we're getting modern ages dropped by the great one. Do you know what I'm saying? But I cannot wait. I don't know if we're on break this week. Oda's been really skipping the breaks, man. I thought once the live action came out, we were going to get a lot more breaks. But maybe he's just feeling good, you know? Maybe he's just feeling super, you know? But I am so happy right now, man. One Piece is on a generational run. It's coming back next week. You know, we got the live action, which I haven't made a video on yet. I've been waiting to I've watched it already. But I'm watching it with my dad. I'm rewatching it with my dad, and I just haven't made a video on it yet. But it is coming. I will make it. But man, what an incredible time to be a One Piece fan. It's really unbelievable.